Today, we are going to talk about something that can feel incredibly isolating, agoraphobia. We're going to break down what it really is, how it can totally turn your daily life upside down, and most importantly, talk about the clear, proven ways to get better. So, let's get right into it. Does this sound familiar to you? That feeling that your world is getting smaller and smaller? Not like the actual walls are closing in, but the boundaries of your own life are. What used to feel like a world of possibilities now just feels like a series of locked doors. If that hits home, this explainer is for you. Okay, first things first, let's bust a huge myth right off the bat. Agoraphobia is not just being afraid of open spaces or crowded markets. That's a massive oversimplification. The real, deep down fear is about being trapped. It's the dread that if a panic attack hits, you won't be able to get out or get help. And that, right there, is the core of it all. So, let's talk about what this means from a clinical standpoint. Just understanding agoraphobia as a real, recognized medical diagnosis is such a huge first step. It validates everything you're feeling and shows that it's a known condition, not some kind of personal weakness. When you look at how it's diagnosed, it's actually pretty specific. The DSM-5, which is basically the main guidebook for this stuff, says that for a diagnosis, a person has to have a really strong fear of at least 2 of these 5 situations. So it's not just about, say, hating elevators. It's a whole pattern of fear that shows up in different kinds of places. And this isn't just an American thing either. Both the American DSM-5 and the global ICD-11 see agoraphobia in almost the exact same way. They agree on the kinds of situations, that it has to last for at least several months, and that it causes serious distress. The takeaway here, what you're experiencing is real, it's understood, and it's recognized by experts all over the world. Okay, so we have the diagnosis, but what does that actually look like in real life? Let's get into how this anxiety can make a person's world feel like it's shrinking day by day. In the short term, life just gets hard. Things like running to the store can feel like climbing a mountain. You might start ducking out of social plans, find it tough to get to work or class, and maybe you need a specific person with you just to leave the house. Living like that is completely exhausting, and yeah, it can lead to some really intense panic and a deep sense of frustration. And over time, all those short-term struggles can really start to pile up. That social withdrawal can become chronic, putting a huge strain on your relationships. Your career might stall, which brings on money worries. And it's not just mental. Staying home all the time affects your physical health, and sadly, it raises the risk for other issues like depression or substance use. In fact, check out this number. It's pretty staggering. Studies are showing that up to 90% of people with agoraphobia have another mental health condition too. This just hammers home how incredibly important it is to get support that looks at the whole picture, not just one piece of the puzzle. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the story pivots. Because even though the impact is serious, the outlook is absolutely not hopeless, not even close. There is a clear, well-researched path forward, built on treatments that are proven to work. I really want you to hear this quote. With appropriate intervention, approximately half of individuals experience significant resolution of symptoms. Let that sink in. That means a life with more freedom and way less fear isn't just some fantasy. It is a totally realistic outcome for so many people. So how do you get there? Well, the number one, top of the list, gold standard treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. Think of CBT as a really practical, hands-on approach. It helps you tackle both the anxious thoughts and the avoidance habits that are keeping the agoraphobia alive. Now, a huge part of CBT is something called exposure therapy. And I know, that sounds pretty scary, right? But it's not what you think. It's all done safely and gradually. First, you just learn about how anxiety works. Then, you and your therapist build what's called a fear ladder. You rank situations from just a little scary all the way up to very scary. Then you start facing them, one small step at a time, and you learn from your own experience that the panic fades and your worst fears don't actually happen. So therapy is absolutely the cornerstone, but it's not the only thing. There are other powerful tools that can support you on this journey. Let's look at medication and some really effective self-help strategies. When we talk about medication, it's crucial to know the difference between the main types. SSRIs, which are antidepressants, are really the first choice for long-term treatment. They take a few weeks to kick in, but they work by lowering your overall anxiety level, which can make the work you do in therapy feel so much more possible. Then you have benzodiazepines. They work fast for immediate relief, but they're really only for short-term use because they carry a risk of dependence. They're not the long-term answer. And you know what? There are things you can start doing for yourself, like today. Simple techniques like deep breathing or muscle relaxation can help calm your body's fight or flight response. Getting some regular exercise is a massive mood booster. And even small changes like cutting back on caffeine and finding a support group, online or in person, can make a real tangible difference. So, let's pull all of this together and look forward. Because the future for someone with agoraphobia who gets the right kind of help is genuinely incredibly hopeful. And look, this hope isn't just wishful thinking. It's backed by solid evidence. Look at this. A long-term study found that 78% of people who got exposure therapy were still in remission 7 years later. 7 years. That's not a temporary fix. That is building a real, lasting foundation for a different kind of life. And this is maybe the most important thing to understand about what recovery really means. It doesn't mean you'll magically never feel anxious again. It means anxiety isn't in the driver's seat anymore. It means you have the confidence and the skills to handle it when it shows up, so it no longer gets to make your decisions for you. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Take a second and really think about it. What would it mean for you to reclaim your world? To go visit that friend or take that trip you've been dreaming of? Or just walk into a grocery store without that feeling of dread? That is what recovery is all about. And it is absolutely 100% within your reach.